Okay, so I've been creating all these videos and using this website as a sort of test dummy site to help me practice public speaking and gain video experience and improve my skills and confidence. So I've created 23 videos so far and 2 podcast shows. And yes, I have noticed a little bit of an improvement, but still a lot of criticism on my end of what I'd like to do before I make most of this public. Like, it is public, but before I'd put it on my own Facebook page or anything like that. So, what I want to do next, because when I've been creating all these little videos, all I've done is upload the YouTube thumbnail to the actual post. I've not created a separate blog thumbnail, which I will do at a later stage. I'm not going to do that today. But what I would like to do today is change the titles. So, the titles at the moment are just sort of just so I know which video it is. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not shareable either. So I want to make the headlines better, and I'm going to use a plugin, and it is called Title Experiments. So I'm going to go into the back end, go to plugins, add new, do a search for Title Experiments. If I haven't already installed it, no, I haven't. Okay, and then install now, activate. And what this will do on the actual individual blog posts, if I edit that blog post, I can add multiple titles, and what it will do is it will randomize these titles, and then after a certain stage it will keep the one that has the most visitors. So obviously this website doesn't have any visitors at the moment apart from myself, as far as I know, because I haven't even installed analytics yet, which is one of the first things I normally do on a normal website that I do. But because this site is dedicated to action taking steps, I have been trying so hard to sit on my hands and not do the technical work that I normally get bogged down with. So I haven't installed my backup plugins or anything yet. I haven't installed security yet. All these things that I am adamant about doing first on my normal sites, I haven't done on this site yet, but I will record. That'll happen very soon. At the moment I hate this theme so much that it doesn't really matter if I lose this site, but that's beside the point. So I'll just check out the settings here anyway, just to show you and to remind myself what it looks like. Recalculate every 5 minutes. Well, I honestly, this site doesn't even, maybe because I'm the only person that is looking at this site, I'm going to change this to 8 hours. If that's the longest, I would take it down to even 24 hours if it was an option. But so 8 hours, and that means it will adjust the headline to the next headline for 8 hours. On the other sites that I have, I do it to 30 minutes or 5 minutes. So here's where I select use the best performing title in feeds. So that means that's the one that will end up staying as the default title. So I won't have to keep going back into every single post and checking to see the percentages of which one is performing the best. And I don't need to do that because I don't actually have any caching installed on this site yet. So I'm just going to save that. Okay, now to create these headlines, I've actually got spreadsheets that I have created myself. 2 different spreadsheets because one was just too long, So I've got the best performing headlines from multiple courses that I've done, from website searches that I've done, from copywriting sites and things like that. And I've created a sort of plug and play spreadsheet, and I've done the same over here so I can use a different format. And in there I've created little fields that automatically update when I add here, so I can just get an idea of what headlines I want without having to think in my own head what I'm going to put. So I'm just going to pick one of these blog posts that might be a little bit easier to start off with while I'm being recorded. I think this one. So rapid creation of iTunes podcast artwork. So then if I go into my headline generators, the problem is, what is their problem pain point? Getting iTunes artwork for their podcast. So iTunes artwork for your podcast, maybe podcast show. What is their desired result? What do they want? Great podcast design, or the same again, iTunes artwork for your podcast show. I'll just try great podcast design so I can get, a few different varieties. I can always switch them around in my head as well. One solution tip technique using Photoshop is because I've already created the video and I used Photoshop. Time frame to achieve desired result. The video was 10 minutes, so in 10 minutes. Number of tips, well, I've only put one. Number of tips, ideas, solutions, ways, and I'll also do that in the other headline generator. iTunes artwork for your podcast. Desired result, great podcast design. One solution tip using Photoshop. Time frame, 10 minutes. Number of ways, 1. So now I'll just browse through and I'll see if there's any that I like that I could put into my, I could adjust them as well, but these are the most common clicked on traffic generating shareable headlines. So they're all going to be pretty good, but some of them aren't going to fit with this subject. Single most effective way to fix your iTunes artwork. Actually, I can make these bigger so I can see the whole thing, because obviously it's going to adjust depending on what I put. This one's a heck of a lot bigger. All right, let's have a look here. Single most effective way to fix your iTunes artwork for your podcast show. Not related to the video. Single most effective way to gain great podcast design. Single most effective way to achieve great podcast design. Maybe not great podcast design because it was just a really quick. So maybe if I change that to rapid or quick, it might make a lot more sense. And I think these are actually quite good. So I'm just going to copy them to a notepad. How to, and I'll just add create. I can always change it to like how to create iTunes artwork for your podcast show. Like I said, these two are pretty interchangeable. And this I could change to the best way to create iTunes artwork for your podcast show fast. So this, do you need iTunes artwork for your podcast show, would be a good one. And this, how to create iTunes artwork for your podcast show in 10 minutes. So I've gone through the first spreadsheet. Now I'm going to go through the second spreadsheet. What I'll do is I'll pause the video, just keep the ones that I want to keep. And that way I'm not wasting your time by reading every single line. And I'll just read out the ones that I ended up choosing. Okay, I've come up with a few. Single most effective way to achieve rapid podcast design. How to create iTunes artwork for your podcast show in less than 10 minutes. The best way to create iTunes artwork for your podcast show fast. Do you need iTunes artwork for your podcast show? How to create iTunes album art for your podcast show in 10 minutes. So it's a slight variation of this one. Stunning DIY podcast artwork using Photoshop in 10 minutes without needing a graphic designer. Easy way to create a great podcast show graphic for iTunes. So how are we going to test which headline is the most effective is plugging them all in to that one post and then letting this plugin do its magic over time, you know. So every day it will use a different headline, and over time this plugin will show which is the most popular, and this plugin will then optimize this post so that the best one is always shown. And I don't know if it will refresh straight away for me because I did choose such a lengthy time at the moment until the site actually has visitors, although it probably wouldn't matter if I changed it to a faster time now to think of it. I just think it's pointless because it's not going to be able to do much with no one knowing about the website. But okay, so it has changed. Stunning DIY podcast artwork using Photoshop in 10 minutes without needing a graphic, it should be graphic designer. But this theme sucks and it doesn't fit in this page. I wonder if it fits in the actual multiple page. It does. This theme is driving me crazy, I tell you. So stunning DIY podcast artwork using Photoshop in 10 minutes without needing a graphic designer. We'll see how it goes. Then in 8 hours time, it will flick over to another random one from here. And another thing about this plugin, it doesn't count what you put titles from Facebook or Google Plus or wherever else you share it. It only counts it from what you've got on your website. So if someone visits this web page and they click on this title, then that title becomes more relevant higher up in the statistics or whatever to make this title a more winning title than its next interchange of titles. So the more people that click on it from your actual website, from a page like this, then that title will be shown more. If other titles are shown here and people don't click on it, then those other ones will go down. The more impressions they have that people don't click on it. So it just sort of works automatically to choose the best title in the end. It's pretty cool. So now I'm going to go through and do the rest of my tutorials with this headline generator. And I might just add the headline generators to the mailing list or to this post for this video so that people can then download the template for that to create their own as well.